this should be fun. Hang on the back filters are absolutely one of the most common types of filtration in the entire aquarium hobby. They're super easy to use, easy to install, they're easy to maintain, and they do a good job keeping the water clear too. But if you're in the market to get one, which one should you buy? I went out the other day and I bought all 5 of these filters. These were not sent to me. This is not a sponsored video. The reason why I did that is because over the course of the next few weeks, I'm going to show you everything about these filters. I'm going to unbox them, I'm going to install them, and I'm going to use them. And I'm going to show you how to maintain them and all that kind of stuff to give you all of the facts that you need about these filters. And then in the end of the whole series, I'm going to tell you which one I believe is the cream of the crop, which one is the best out of all of them. These are all good filters and they will all do the job, but I'll tell you which one I prefer. So for today, in this one, we're going to focus on this guy right here, the Penguin 150. I have used so many of these filters, I don't even know what the number is, but this filter's been out for a long time. I've used tons of them, so it makes sense to get started with this one. So obviously the first thing we have to do with all of these filters is unbox them. I'll show you what's in the box and all of that. I'm not going to do this in some kind of a fancy way where I show you every single little bit and all of the instruction book and all that. You don't want to see all that. You just want to see the filter. You want to see what comes inside this thing and see what it's all about, right? So unboxing this, it's pretty simple. All of these filters have something about them that makes them different from the others. And with the Penguins, that would be this. This is the thing that has kind of put this filter on the map. This is the bio wheel. I am actually a believer in these bio wheels as long as you can keep them spinning. We'll talk about that later on in the video, but that's the thing. I do believe that this is not just a gimmick. I think that this works, and it's been around for a really long time. So it's not just me that feels that way. With all of these filters, when you're unboxing them, you're going to get exactly what you expect. You're going to get everything that you need to set this thing up and get it up and running. Your intake tube, which has this little guy here, which I've never quite understood what that's for. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm an idiot. I don't really know. But then you have the extension tube that goes on the bottom of that, and then your input. Simple. Small enough to where you could put a sponge on here, and I think Marineland might even be making those now where you can actually buy them from the store that attach directly to this, or they're made specifically for this filter. I'm not sure, but I know they're doing that for the new series. This is the Penguin 150. It's been around forever, and Marineland has recently come out with a new series of filters, which I haven't gotten my hands on yet, but they look very promising. But anyway, when we get up close and install this, I'll actually go through it in a little bit more detail. But what do you get in the box? You get the filter. That's what you get. You get the filter, and it all falls apart when you lay it down. And then you get one filter cartridge. Filter cartridges are one of those things that some people love them, some people hate them, but they are what they are. Okay, so let's get the Marineland installed here. The lid on the Marineland is actually 2 different pieces, which is not a bad thing, just is what it is. All of these filters are the easiest thing in the world to install because once you have them assembled, you just put them on the back of the tank. I mean, it's really is not anything complicated at all. The only thing that ever complicates it is when you have a cat in the fish room that won't shut up. Okay, so here's complication number one here. This is made for a 30-gallon, and the hose is too long for a 10-gallon. So I don't know if this can go in here. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. So, yeah, good job, John. Okay, so we're not going to be able to use the extension tubes there. It's not a big deal. These are made for a tank that is taller. That's why I couldn't get it to set down in place there. So, Rena, really? Cats. So you just put them together and you just set them on the back of the tank. That's why they're called hang on the back filters. Very, very easy. It's easy to slide to get it positioned into place, but once it's full of water, it's going to be a lot more difficult because it's going to be full, and when you move it, the water can slosh around and get all over the place. So find where it needs to go, put it in there, and plan to leave it there. These are not complicated at all. It's why they're great for beginners. You put them in place, you plug it in, and you go. Now, the one thing I am going to do with this, before I plug it in, obviously I'm going to put the cartridge in here. Now these come wrapped up, packaged. There's carbon in here. I'm not going to rinse it out. You're supposed to rinse it out, but I'm not going to take it in and rinse it out and do all of that. I'm just going to put it in, and we're just going to go with it. It's not a big deal. It's not going to hurt anything. There's never going to be fish in here. This is set up specifically for the purposes of doing this demonstration. But one thing I am going to do is grab my cup that I normally use to thaw out shrimp for these fish. I'm going to use this to put water actually in the filter to get it primed up, I guess you could say. I don't know that you have to do this, but it makes a lot of sense to do it. Get the water in there so the pump doesn't have to work so hard to fill it up. So, my dogs are in the house losing their minds. Put the front lid on, super easy. It actually looks kind of cool. Top lid on, it's done. It's ready to go. I'm going to plug it in. Now, the big thing with the Penguin filters is that if the bio wheel isn't spinning, it's not doing its job. So it has to be spinning. This, you don't have to pre-wet it or anything like that. You let the filter do its thing. When the water starts running through it, it's going to spin that wheel. And here comes the water. And there we go. The wheel needs to be spinning. If it's not spinning, it's not going to do its job. What this is basically doing, it's a combination of water and exposure to the oxygen that's supposed to be beneficial for the beneficial bacteria. If these stop spinning, they're not going to do anything for you. So make sure that they're always spinning. It's one of the only complaints that I ever hear anybody talk about with the Penguin filters is that sometimes they'll stop spinning because of the little mechanism or whatever. And it's, you just got to clean it out, and it's not usually a big deal. Sometimes if you're really messing with these, I've got experience with this, the little purple connectors that hold the bio wheel in place can get lost or they can break. And if that happens, they actually do sell these little purple things. I'll show a close-up of the little purple things, but it's basically what the wheel sits down in. Those can get lost. I don't even know why you can take them out. It should just be part of the filter. But anyway, if those get lost, you actually can order those from Marineland. So now looking at this, you can hear a lot of water movement. First of all, the water is a little bit low in this tank. It won't be an issue if your tank is filled all the way up. But for the purposes of this video, it's actually a good thing that the water's a little bit low because you'll be able to see the flow from this filter. So I didn't do that on purpose, but I'm kind of glad it worked out that way. So that's it. Super easy to install. You put it on the back of the tank, you plug it in, and you're good. That's all there is to it. You don't need a degree in engineering. You don't need to go to any special classes. You don't need a do-it-yourself class on how to do fish keeping. I mean, you can read the instructions. That's what a smart person would do. But you probably don't even need to do that. Take it out of the box, put it together. It can only go together one way. You put it on the back of the tank, you turn it on, you got yourself an aquarium filter. Okay, so the Penguin 150, the Penguin series as a whole, you may hear me refer to this filter as the Penguin 350 because that's what I've always used, because I've always put them on larger tanks. So if you hear me say 350, it's just because that's what I'm used to using. But this one is a Penguin 150, and it's exactly the same as the bigger versions, except when you graduate to the 350s and the Emperors and the new version of them, those are going to have 2 bio wheels, 2 filter cartridges, where the smaller ones like this have just one with the 1 cartridge. But other than that, the assembly of it and the use of it and everything is exactly the same as this filter. And it's the same with all of these. That's why I can do the smaller version and it works for all of the different sizes. So anyway, this is a filter I have a ton of experience with. I've been using Penguin filters for, I don't even know how long. It's been a really long time, over a decade. I've been using these silly filters with the wheels that spin on them, but I've always had really good luck with these filters. They've always been good to me. Yes, I have had some where there starts to be issues with the wheels spinning, and it's not that hard to figure out. It's not that hard to actually fix. So don't let that be a deterrent to you. Whenever you have moving parts, sometimes people can freak out. I don't know what the cat's going to do, but I'm just going to let it happen, whatever it's going to be. But something new in the fish room, he wants to explore and figure it out. But anyway, he also likes being on video. So I've had a lot of experience with these filters, and I've always had good experiences with these filters. If there are any negatives that I've ever had, like I said, a couple of times the wheels got messed up, no big deal. Usually that was from handling it, moving it, switching it from one tank to another, and then you end up hitting it or whatever, and it breaks those little clips. Again, it's easy to fix. That's not necessarily the filter's fault. That is the operator's fault that that's happened. But do the bio wheels really work? I don't know. I mean, I don't have the equipment to be able to determine whether there's truly more bacteria on there than in any other type of filter. But the theory makes sense to me. It makes sense that having that spinning, having all that surface area for the growth of bacteria, whatever the material is that they use for that wheel, it makes sense that that would provide a huge surface area for beneficial bacteria. So I believe it works, but I really have no way of testing that. The only other complaint that I've ever had about Penguins is pretty much the same complaint I've had about every filter, except for maybe the ones that have the internal motors, but we'll talk about that later. And that is that sometimes they can end up getting a little bit noisy. The impeller starts to get a little worn, starts to make a little rattling sound, and it can get really annoying. The good thing about that, these are cheap. I mean, they're cheap in the grand scheme of things. They're cheap. It's not like they're only $5, but most of these filters are $25 to $30. If it really bothers you that much, you've had a filter for a couple of years and it's just driving you crazy, go spend the $25, $30 and get another one. It's no big deal. You know, I mean, hey, that's the easy way to solve that problem. So sometimes people will sit there and drive themselves nuts and they'll try to fix the problem and they'll order new impellers and all of this stuff. And you probably could have saved yourself a whole lot of heartache by just ditching the thing and going and buying a new one. But anyway, that's the only complaints that I've ever really had. Sometimes there's complications with the wheels and sometimes they can get a little noisy. But as far as being noisy, every single one of these filters has the potential to do that. Again, except for the ones that have the internal motor. And when I say internal motor, I'm talking about a motor that is in the water, in the tank itself, on the intake. It's genius. It's super smart. I wish they would all do that. In fact, Penguin's doing that now with their newer versions, but I don't know if their small version like this is gonna, I don't know. I haven't seen that filter yet. All I've seen is the big one, but it looks like it's promising and it looks like it might be the new best hang on the back filter. But anyway, huge fan of the Penguin filters. Nobody's paying me to say that. That's from years of experience. I like it. I've always liked them. And you'll just have to wait and see at the end of this series if it's my favorite. So if you want to pick up one of these filters, I do have links down in the description. Those are Amazon affiliate links. So if you do purchase one of these filters, we're going to get like 4 cents out of that deal. So if you don't want to support the channel, if that bothers you that we would make money from that, I get it. Don't click that link. Just go straight to Amazon or whatever. But if you want to pick one of these up and you want to support the channel, go down there and click the links in the description and order one of these. Or wait until all of the other videos come out and then make your decision, because there might be one that you like more once you see them all in action. I'm going to try to get all 5 on this one tank. I don't know if that's going to work, but it's going to be fun trying. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Again, links in the description for all of these filters. So go check those out. Do your own research on it. And if you have experience with these filters, put them down in the comment section. Let me know what you think. If you hate the Penguin, or if you love it, think it's the best filter in the world, let me know down in the description. And also let me know if there are other filters that I don't have here that you want to see a review of. The only one I can think of is the Penplex, and I was told last night by Jason from Primetime Aquatics that Seachem has a filter. Never knew that. So that might be a thing worth checking out. I don't know. But if you know one that I have not included on this list, let me know in the comments, and maybe I'll pick it up before this whole series is over. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and subscribe so that you don't miss all of the other reviews of all these other filters. Come hang out with me and Rena again. So thank you so much for watching. Whew, I'll see you next time.